easier when we're in the same room, Wayne.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So we were chatting about doing this, getting on, and just chatting away because we're those two socially ambitious chatterboxes that we are, talking about stuff and life and things. And we were discussing what would we talk about today. And Wayne said to me, "Do you know what, James? I think we should talk about Independence Day." And I was sitting here thinking, as the Brit, I'm thinking, okay, does he want to rub it in my face? Is this an American British thing? But he said, no, this isn't about American Independence Day. This is about independence,
Yeah.
and how we feel about independence. So why don't you fill us in a little bit about what you were talking about so we can dive in and have a chat?
Awesome. So, I was thinking about it as American Independence Day rolled around. July 4th is when everybody, tries to light themselves on fire and, blow things up. So, and that's in honor of of independence. And yet we all have this thing where, at this point, the question is, we want autonomy, but do we really have independence? And do we really need it? And so rather than make this a political thing, it's really about who are we as individuals. And it really got me thinking that we are independent as individuals. We make independent choices. And yet, aren't we truly, and here's the word of the day, I think, is moving us from being independent to being truly interdependent. Don't we as humans, we can't just be a single person on our own. I mean, unless you're a hermit or living in a cave or you've chosen to go off the grid, you are not.
Anyone living in caves, by the way.
And even so, if you're watching this, then there's, it's really about being interdependent. Hey, can I just play with my sound for a second, real quick? I just want to make sure here we go. Can you hear me okay better? Hear me? Okay, good. I'm putting that in because I'm also running Facebook Live here, and and so I didn't. Hello, planet. That's right. That's right. So the whole idea of, who are we to each other? And that gets back to something that you and I had been talking about, James, which is the whole idea of relationships. I mean, that's one of your key specialties. It's what you've been working on, in building your groups. It's one of my key specialties. It's where, hey, I brought props. It's where my first book came from, right? Well, how do you explain this then? Exactly. Right. So and that is one of my sayings. Obviously, is hey, stay curious. So I've got a couple of people that have joined me. It looks great. Hey, hello Barry. Hello Claudia. Thanks for being here. And yeah, so let's talk about, what does it take to be independent or autonomous and still stay where we all truly function, which is interdependent. Who are we to each other, right? Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So we can exist, and I think that's part of autonomy. Is we exist with our own goals. And if my goals support your goals, all the better. And if your goals support someone else's goals, all the better, right? And it's not that you can't have separate thoughts. In fact, I think that's important. And so when we go back to talk about relationships, then it's about, well, what does each person in the relationship want? When you talk about being an entrepreneur and having a team that you now rely on, do their goals support your goals? And can your overarching goals, your bigger vision, actually feed those that are coming to join you in your work? So either as a team member or as a tribe member, right? So it's not that independence is push away from. It's that independence it sparks creativity, I think. It demands creativity, in fact, and it's that then that builds on and that pulls for, it really pulls for the need for interdependence. Because, you and I are creating this thing. We're unscripted. You and we're unscripted. This is us just having a chat and inviting our friends to come in. So I say, hey, Judy. And I think Carla jump in. Alicia's in there. Yep. So wanted to say hello to those that are jumping in. And it's that, like, can I support you in your endeavors? As you come to support me, can I support you, James? And it's that, how do we connect? And I think, the outcome of this conversation is to really pose that question of, with whom are we interdependent? And how do we maintain our independence in that interdependence? Isn't that cool? That's the conundrum and the question of the day. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And yeah. It is. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? Why is why is that? Because of the nature of the team. I just got a notification that some of the folks that are watching, hey, Allison, Janet, let me just say, Ava, Jamie's watching, Lisa's logged in. I just got notification that they can't hear you on my Facebook, so I may have actually accidentally, by cutting the sound from my computer, stopped them from being able to hear you. So I'm going to unplug and see.
Learn sign language.
Oh, I can sign. You want me to do the rest by signing? Challenge accepted. Okay. All right, here we go.
If you can translate for me, for everyone that didn't hear, in sign, and then I'll just nod
Right.
my head and.
So James says, "Have a great day." No, it's all good. Let me ask you guys. There you go. Thank you. Okay, so very good. So now they can hear.
So they can hear me now. Hi, everyone.
Hello, and Diana is on my other Facebook, which is great. Thank you for joining. Cool. So, how do you be on a team and be independent while being interdependent? And there's one more word I think that that needs to be thrown in there, and that's if we take off the prefix off of those things, then we're left with the word dependent. And really, what we're pushing away from is being fully dependent on other people. That's where you get to being interdependent. I rely on you to boost me to, because of your work, I get better. Because of my work, you get better. On a team, that's where we come together and we make our difference. We can hear James. Ha ha ha. Okay, thank you. In my effort,
you can hear me, and Wayne's just taking up all the airtime. It's just not fair.
Awesome. Yeah, in my effort to be to stop what I thought would be feedback, and anyway, so we're learning, right? We're learning, and here's the thing. Okay, so real time, real live, right? I'm getting feedback from those people that are watching. Hello, thank you for being here, right? So from those that have tuned in, I'm getting feedback. Now, if I were fully independent and not needing that kind of information, I would never know, or not, I would say not paying attention to that information, I would never know that half the conversation was blocked off, right? So this is a great example. I'm turning to the Facebook. It's a great example, thank you, of interdependence. I rely on you. I rely on you. I rely on you. It's like, and that's how we build together, right? You get a better experience when we work together. That's the nature of one, relationship, and two, interdependence. I love it when we get real live examples like that and we can use it. And because often it's something like, oh, it was a technical glitch. Oh, it was this. And we dismiss it. This is where you have to pay attention. In your team, what are you creating, right? If you're an entrepreneur, what are you creating for your team? Where is interdependence? I talked about relationship in one of our previous things as being, meaning the state of coming together again. That is two independent individuals coming together. That's relationship. It's not a static thing. It's be that independent person. Have that independent thought. Be you. And come together, and it's because you're you, right? That's what makes the relationship so solid, is that you bring you full out. You bring, the other person brings themselves full out. When you're on a team, it's the exact same thing. You need your team members to show up.
Right. So if all your team members, if everyone was dependent on each other, they wouldn't be showing up fully, and you'd get a weak team because you get weak components, wouldn't you?
Exactly.
But is there such thing as components that don't go together and components that do go together?
Good question, right? So then we're talking about interdependence, and now we've moved to synergy, right? So there's that word. And in the 80s, we used to play BS Bingo. I don't know if you've heard of that. Did you ever hear of that? So we'd go to, the sun looks great on you. Yeah. So... Oh, hey, can you see in the background?
Everyone's like, he's not in England, there's sun.
Exactly.
We get it sometimes, we do.
So those of you on my Facebook feed here, you're seeing a cat tail right there, and you can even hear her in the background. This is real. That
cat is dependent, unfortunately.
It's too true, although she likes to think she's independent, So you asked a question, can there be such a thing as sort of a bad interdependence? And yeah, it shows up in relationships gone bad, relationships that no longer work, where there's not a giving or showing up at 100% on both sides. you know, where one side has taken over, the other side has given in or given up, or where both sides decide that they are not being heard, and so rather than coming together in a relationship, the lation part of the coming together, it's more about let me prove I'm right. No, let me prove I'm right, and it's about being more right. Now, in teams, how does this happen? How does this happen in your teams? When, like, one of the basic human needs is to feel acknowledged. People want, on teams, that's even more important than pay. And that's in study after study after study, is that more important than pay for our team members is acknowledgement. And so I think if we are deliberate about, I'm watching you get a suntan on your right side of your face. It's awesome.
There we go.
Yeah, look at you. So, so if we pay attention to that, you know, that it's like, I've worked with managers and entrepreneurs, you know, business owners, everyone from startups to senior level executives in multi-billion-dollar companies, entrepreneurs like my friends who are dentists, you know, and really it's about it's about the small stuff and paying attention to the small stuff and acknowledging those things that feed into the greater vision, right? So who are you to yourself? Who are you to other people? And how do you acknowledge that you're showing up to your higher purpose, to your own purpose that you've stated? And how do you acknowledge those around you who are supporting you? Because I think that's what we lose so often. You know, we lose track of that so often. So looks like a few more people.
If anyone's in a team that isn't working out and you're feeling not heard and you're feeling like things aren't, you know, you don't feel part of that team, it feels a bit like that. Isn't it wonderful that to be in a team that's perfect means that you do get to show up unapologetically as your independent self?
Exactly.
So either if you're in the right team or if the team's been managed in the right way, you should be able to be 100% your independent self within that team to be your best.
Exactly. I want you to say that again, James, because I think that was so important, is you get to show up. Can you remember what you said?
I think it's really important that to understand that, as Wayne was saying, that you get to show up as your unapologetic independent self in a team, in an effective team. And if you're not getting to show up 100%, then there's something broken about that team. And it may not be you. It can be all sorts of things. But the point is that you get to any really successful relationship is two people showing up every individual showing up 100% independently as their strongest self.
Yes, and the caveat to that,
you've got to compromise that.
Well, the caveat to that, the one thing about that is that if you're showing up on a team, you're showing up 100% to support the purpose of that team. So whether that's a work group, whether that's a family, whether that's a relationship, you know, with two people, you know, two people can make a team. So whether that's, I'm getting all these, looks like Yasmin is just throwing all kinds of love out there. So Kimberly, great to see you. Heather, thank you for watching. Anne-Marie, that's awesome. Sherry, Larry, that's awesome. Welcome, everybody. So, and on this side, really quick, Diana's still there. Hello. I just put my hand over that. So independent, like if you were on a team and you showed up and you go, I have my own ideas, you may no longer be supporting the direction of the team, right? So now it's, yes, that's the independent thought. As a team member, what creates interdependence is saying, does this thought promote the grander vision of the team I'm on, whether that's your marriage, whether that's your, you know, your partnership, whether that is a friendship, a work group, whatever it is. It's sort of, you know, you and I are working together across the pond, which is so great. That's, love technology. And if you and I showed up and we went, well, I want to talk about this, and it's like, well, I want to, show how to make pancakes. It's like, well,
On next week's show.
And so there's this discussion where we feed each other these kind of ideas, these concepts, and in so doing, we help each other get better. That's the true nature of interdependence.
Amazing, love that.
Yeah.
And like something we talk about all the time in entrepreneurship, in personal development, in building a team for your business, is that quote, your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So in terms of finding the right team or finding the right relationships, it starts with being unapologetically your best self. And then that then attracts those kind of people to come into your life.
It's so great.
We talk about it all the time with like, our clients, putting themselves out there in the world, putting themselves out there, marketing or, looking to grow their businesses and trying to be something they're not, seeing how other people are doing it and seeing, oh, maybe I need to be like that. Just be yourself.
Yeah.
Just be unapologetically yourself, and you will attract the people that beautifully work together in that relationship with you, and you'll probably put off a load of other people, which is great.
That's
right?
awesome. Yeah, no,
That's
it's true. It is the filter.
Yeah.
You know what's great is that I don't think you've done this before in your discussions. So I just, I'm watching myself wear off, or
Wow.
I've influenced you. Look at that. So
Influence is another discussion we could have. Wayne's influencing me. I'll be walking around like house like this.
look at who we are to each other. So the thing is, unapologetically your best self, right? So I just had this conversation with somebody recently about how when we show up for clients, when we show up for our, for those friends of mine that are dentists, you're showing up for your patients. When you show up for your family members, unapologetically your best self is not unapologetically your sloppy self, right? Well, this is who I am today, right? So like if I had this whole conversation with you like this, James, it'd be it's casual dudes, right? And that's not who we are in the world. You show up unapologetically your best self, which means for every interaction you're in it, you are deliberate, and it's can I make another? I'm going to make another plug for myself. If you go to, can you see that over my shoulder? If you go to
Dynamic Leader.
He's
got the mug.
Did you expect anything else? Right.
I might even have. I do have.
What do you
Maybe
have?
it's upstairs.
Okay. You have my wristband? That's awesome. So I haven't gotten fully dressed yet. So I'm not wearing the wristband. Here's the thing is, you want to just hang your wristband over the, okay, so from Facebook Live, here we go.
Wow, there's loads of wristbands from a random hand.
This one says Dynamic Leader. Here we go, right here for this camera, and right over there for that camera. We got.
Nice watch.
All right, so some of you just got to meet Shannon's left wrist. Very good. So Dynamic Leader, it's branded. Here's the reason I'm even doing that with you guys. Okay, look, go to dynamicleader.com. When you do that, there will be a pop-up. Enter your name and email. Every week you get Wednesdays with Wayne. That's me. And and here's the thing, is that today's Wednesday, as we were doing this, and the blog post that just came out this morning is called, it's all about deliberate practice, right? So how do you get better? And this also feeds into the concept that we're talking about, which is interdependence. You get better by putting your mind into what you're doing, right? So people practice and they stay the same. That's cool. They stay the same. People practice and go, okay, what if I did it just slightly differently, right? So some of you know that I'm a martial artist. Well, here's the deal, right? As I was practicing martial arts, I was practicing what I was taught. When you get to the black belt level, you start to learn all over again because you recognize you're in your body differently. And so, uh, and so what happens is you go, well, what if I shifted my weight just a little? What if I moved my hips a quarter of an inch? Those fine tuning tweaks, that's deliberate practice. So when we show up together, that then says, okay, independently, like you can't do that for me. That's me being independent, right? As I get better and I show up deliberately, right, at 100% my best self, right, then I'm able to bring stronger anything to you, stronger energy, personal, like whatever the message is, that's very different, and then you get to respond, which is the interdependence. I just saw something that says hello from Norway. Is that right? That's so awesome.
Wow, the whole of Norway is watching. That's amazing.
Hi from Norway. Thanks for being here.
Norway.
That's so great.
Yeah, no, you're totally right, and it made me. What you said, it just sparked a thought, and that was that,
an independent thought.
An independent thought
sparked off of something I said, which is interdependent. Go ahead.
Interdependent relationships.
Indeed.
Like you said, people practice something over and over again, and they stay the same. And I was reading this amazing book recently called U Squared.
Oh yeah, U Squared. All right.
U Squared, amazing book. Your book's amazing too, Wayne. But come on.
This one, or wait, or this one. Okay.
Oh, the significant factor. Yeah, that one's okay. That's really good. About if you're feeling like you're doing the same thing over and over again, and you can't change. The default quite often is to work harder, work even harder doing the same thing, and yet
exactly.
You still don't change. And think about it. Working harder at the same thing and expecting a different result is kind of crazy. And so what U Squared talks about, and the follow-up book is all about being brave enough to try something different.
That's the key, right? Bravery.
Right, and
courage.
so that's how you, so bravery. So we could talk about that in relationships. You think about taking relationships to the next level, especially because, we're all striving to have better relationships. We're all striving to be our best selves with all the people in our lives.
Wait. I want to wait. Hang on. I just want to make sure that is a truism, right? You and I do. Those that are watching do. But I don't think we can take that for granted, that we are all trying to be our best selves, because we've all seen people that aren't living into their best selves.
That is very true.
Right? So we need to do that to promote, right? What'd you say? Your vibe attracts your tribe. We need to do that to actually get the people around us to live into their best selves. So I want to, make sure that...
No, you're totally right. We are all not, but we all should be. But I know for me, speaking for myself, always trying to grow in all areas, and always trying to improve relationships and improve how I show up in relationships. And like any kind of growth, it takes courage to step into an area that's a little bit scary, to maybe admit you're wrong, or admit that you need to show up in a different way. And I think that starts with recognizing what we're talking about today, recognizing actually that we can be fully ourselves.
Exactly.
And we really do need other people to rise.
Exactly.
And we get to have both, which is awesome, right? Not one or the other. We get to have both.
We do.
We've got this amazing quote I actually did look up for this call, which is, the world is a wheel. We rise or fall. We do it together. When we rise or fall, we do it together, which is true, right?
Nice.
There is no such thing as true independence in a world that has a massive amount of influence on each other. We talk about influence, right? Influence is huge. And so, but that doesn't mean we can't be independent, What we're saying is you get to have both, which is amazing.
There you go, yeah. And right. In fact, not only get to, but must, right? That's the whole thing, is that you must have independent thought. You must have your best self. That's you being independent, is showing up. You choose your direction, and then you choose how to support those around you, and you choose who is in your world to support you being your best self, while you were supporting others being their best selves. So it is about being both. Where things go wrong is when you leave off, as I said, leave off the prefix of independence or interdependence, and you become dependent, or you have somebody around you who's fully dependent, that becomes an energy suck, you know. And I think I think it may be safe to say that we've all experienced that having people around us that are like, well, what do you think? Well, what do you think? Now, here's a message for guys, okay? It's a dude message. You ready?
Dude message, listen up.
When the question, hey, what do you want for dinner, comes up, the answer is not, I don't know, I don't really care. Because the question is being asked so that you can have some form of interdependent interaction. So you do have an opinion, make that opinion known, and it makes
I think
makes
that's
sense.
a question for both girls and guys, to be honest with you. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Yep. I'm bringing it up based on the relationship issues that I have heard about that have come my way. And it's like, that's one of the little things that just gets thrown out there. And it's like, I know it's a pet peeve of many women that I've consulted with, right? So, and sometimes even in my own marriage. So,
the hand will come back in, but this time it'll be
okay, so what you can't see is in the next room is actually the kitchen, and she just laughed. So we got Shannon's approval on that one.
I know what you're getting for dinner tonight, Wayne.
That's awesome. Natasha's in there.
The
Sean's
message
in
really
there.
there is don't take for granted the opportunity to have an opinion.
That's awesome.
From someone that you're used to, you get used to. Never get used to relationships in a way that you just take them for granted.
That's
all that is. That's just taking it for granted. Right?
So on my Facebook, looks like Sean is going to create a restaurant called I Don't Care. So it's like, hey, what do you want for dinner? I don't care. Awesome.
Is this Sean Huber?
Yes.
Sean.
Hey,
We'll
Fred.
come to your restaurant, man.
Awesome. I think that's a great name. What do you want for dinner? I don't care. Good. We'll order takeout.
$300 plate dinner.
That's a genius restaurant because you wouldn't even need a menu. Everyone just sits down and gets given food and then leaves.
That's awesome.
I wonder if it would be the same answer if it was, how much does that cost?
That's right. They're going to be $300 a plate.
So Wayne, how do we summarize today? How do we summarize the importance of independence and interdependence?
That's a great question. I think the key points to all that is, one, you've got to pay attention, right? Where are you independent? In the morning when you wake up, that's your time. Who do you want to be today? Who and how do you want to be, right? So you choose. Like, you wake up, you're in gratitude, I hope, right? That hey, you get this day to make your difference. And then it's like, well, how do you want to make your difference? And that's the real important thing. And then it's how and then with whom, right? And so you then get to choose how you want to engage, with whom you want to engage. And so that's what you carry forward. You get to measure throughout the day, am I being true to myself, right? That's your purpose, that's your independence. And then you get to measure from yourself or throughout the day, with whom have I made a difference, right? So that's the interdependence. How's that for a summary?
Are you being yourself in a way that's supporting, the team, whether that's a relationship or a business?
Exactly.
Like you said earlier, is you showing up as yourself within that construct, supporting the team, the relationship?
Exactly.
Amazing. Love it. What a great subject, Wayne. I was so concerned coming into this, thinking we're talking about July 4th, Independence Day. He's just going to have a stab at me being a Brit. But no, it was a really important message.
Well, I think it's just something, it struck me on Independence Day. It's like, we're independent from what, And so to keep that in mind, that we have choices, right? Keep your own personal independence. Remember that it is about being interdependent. And, throughout all of it, right? Here's the little guy. Stay curious.
Stay curious. And I think one last message about it, and I think the best thing about about being able to be your best self and having that independence. And this is kind of a message from a very good friend of mine, Dr. James Rouse, the ruckus maker, is that in that independence, especially in the world today, don't be a sheep. Be unapologetically yourself. You've got an opinion, you want to do something a little bit different. Be unapologetic with that, because the way you go about being independent, when it's from a place of gratitude and from a place of love and from a place of excitement, it's not offensive.
Right.
Then that's why Curious George comes up. Then it makes people curious in a really positive way.
Exactly. Good.
And I think that binds relationships better. If you want to be really independent, then actually it's not about what you say or what your opinions are, it's how you say it and how you go about those opinions. Because people want to hear new ideas and new ways of doing things. And so, you get to show up like that in a really positive way.
Exactly.
Right? In a Curious George way.
Well, and the reason, like, some of you still may not know why I have Curious George, right? So the whole idea of Curious George is that not only is one of my messages to stay curious, but it's also that when you're in curiosity, you cannot be in a place of judgment. And so the Stay Curious message is all about stay curious and live there instead of living in this place of judgment. And that's one of the other ways of showing up as your best self.
Yeah, awesome.
Good stuff.
Okay, well, this was awesome, and we're going to do it again. So because we just like chatting from across the pond, and hopefully we will get to do this in person again and chat without the fun technology gremlins that like to try and slow us down.
Well, I think what's cool is we're learning our way, right? And those of you that are watching and choose to tune in, it's like, that's so great because you get to watch us get better, and your being here actually helps us get better. So thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We are signing off, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks, Wayne. Awesome.
Okay.
Cheers, buddy. Take care.
We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.